Hey there, welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you 5 of my family's all-time favorite dinner recipes that come together in only about 15 minutes. So this is going to make your dinner time extra easy at night. I hope you enjoy it and let's go start cooking. We're beginning today with this beautiful chicken, broccoli, and rice skillet. So to the pan on my stove, I have about 2 tablespoons of hot olive oil in there. I'm adding my 1 pound of chicken tenderloins. I did season these chicken tenderloins on both sides with seasoned salt and pepper, but you could season your chicken with anything that you love. I cooked this chicken for about 4 minutes on each side or until it was completely cooked through. Once it was cooked through, I removed the chicken to a separate plate and I set this chicken to the side. To the same pan that we cooked our chicken in, I added our 1.5 cups of water along with our 1 can of cream of mushroom with roasted garlic soup, or you could use normal cream of mushroom or cream of chicken, but I just love the taste with the roasted garlic in it. It's my favorite. I also added in a dash of pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of paprika, and 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. I'm scraping all of the bits off of the bottom of the pan right now. There's a ton of great flavor in all those bits. After I gave this a really good stir and it came up to a simmer, I added in our 1 3/4 cup of instant minute rice along with 2 cups of fresh broccoli. I did make sure that I cut the broccoli into super duper small pieces just to ensure that it will cook properly. After I stirred the rice and the broccoli in with the rest of the ingredients, I placed our cooked chicken over the top of everything. I put the lid on and I let this simmer on my stove for about 5 minutes or until the rice was nice and tender. Now that our cooking time is up, this is totally optional. If you don't care for cheese, you do not need to add this, but I love cheese, so I sprinkled 1/2 cup of Colby Jack cheese over the top. Once the cheese melted down, it was ready to serve. The broccoli and the rice are perfectly tender and flavorful. The chicken has amazing flavor and it has a nice crust on the outside. The chicken's also nice and juicy. This meal comes together in no time at all, but it tastes like it took you hours to create. Now we're making this simple bacon tortellini Alfredo. To get it started, I am going to cut about 7 strips of bacon into smaller bite-sized pieces. If you don't care for normal bacon, you could always use turkey bacon as a substitute or just leave the bacon out of this recipe. But to my deeper skillet on the stove, I added our bacon right in there and I'm going to cook this bacon until it is crispy. So now that our bacon's crispy, I'm removing it to a separate plate lined with paper towel and I'm going to set it to the side. I saved about 1 tablespoon of the bacon grease in my pan, and then I added our 2 tablespoons of minced garlic in. Once the garlic became fragrant, I added in our 1/2 cup of chicken broth along with 1 cup of heavy cream and 4 ounces of cream cheese. I did cut the cream cheese into smaller cubes just so it melted down better. I'm whisking this all together and I'm going to bring it up to a simmer and let that cream cheese melt down. While we have our Alfredo sauce cooking away, into this pot of boiling water, I added 20 ounces of refrigerated cheese tortellini. That's only going to cook for a few minutes, so let your cheese tortellini cook, and then once it is cooked through, drain it and set it to the side. Now that our sauce is nice and creamy and the cream cheese melted down, I added in our cup of Parmesan cheese with a dash of pepper and salt. I whisked the Parmesan cheese in, and once that Parmesan cheese melted down, I added back in our cooked bacon to the pan along with our cooked drained cheese tortellini. After you coat the tortellini and the bacon in the Alfredo sauce, this is ready to serve. Here's my big bowl of food. This is unbelievably good. The Alfredo sauce is nice and rich and the bacon adds amazing flavor. If you don't typically cook with tortellini, I totally suggest it. I'm sure you'll love this dish. Now we're making these honey lemon chicken tenders. So to get this one started, on my red plate right here, I have about a pound of chicken tenderloins. In this bowl, I'm adding 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour, along with a teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Mix this mixture all together. I do want to mention too, if you don't care for chicken tenderloins, you could always use thin chicken breasts as a substitute for this recipe. But I coated the chicken generously on both sides in the flour mixture. Then I set it onto a separate plate. Over to the pan on my stove, I added a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of olive oil. Once the butter melted down and the oil got hot, I added our chicken right in there. I cooked the chicken on each side for about 4 minutes or until it was cooked through. One little tip that I do like to do for coated chicken like this though is I only like to flip it once while it's cooking. That way you have a nice coated crust on the outside. It just works out best like that, trust me. Anyways, once our chicken was cooked through, I removed it to a separate plate and I set this plate to the side. Now we're going to begin on the honey lemon mixture. So in this bowl, I have about 3 tablespoons of water. To the water, add a tablespoon of cornstarch and whisk this all together so the cornstarch is no longer clumpy. Now you'll add in your 1/4 cup of honey, followed by 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, and then 2 teaspoons of low sodium soy sauce. Whisk this honey lemon mixture all together and then set it to the side. To the same pan that we cooked our chicken in, I added our 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. I whisked the garlic around in there until it became fragrant. It only took about 20-30 seconds. Then I added our 1/2 cup of chicken broth. I brought the broth up to a simmer. Then I added in our honey lemon mixture that we just made up. I gave this a really good whisk, and then I added back in our cooked chicken, and I let this simmer until the sauce thickened. Then it was ready to serve. Here's my plate of food. That honey lemon chicken has just the right amount of flavors of everything in it. It's absolutely out of this world, and so is that sauce. I could probably eat this chicken a few times a week and not get tired of it, honestly, but I served it alongside of steamed broccoli and this ranch pasta salad. This was my first time trying this box of ranch pasta salad, and I thought it was good, but I really didn't fall in love with it like I thought I would have. It wasn't my favorite pasta salad in the world, to be completely honest with you. Now we're making these shortcut Philly cheesesteak sloppy joes. To get this one started, in my pan on the stove, I have a pound of ground beef. I'm breaking the ground beef up right now and I'm starting to cook it. While the ground beef is cooking, I'm dicing our 1 onion into smaller pieces along with 1 green bell pepper and about 8 ounces of mushrooms. I'm going to bring all of our vegetables over to the ground beef at this point. The ground beef is not completely cooked through. It had only been cooking on my stove for a couple of minutes. I added the veggies in and I'm going to let the ground beef completely cook through at this point and let the veggies get soft. In this measuring cup, I have 1 cup of beef broth. I added a tablespoon of cornstarch to it. I gave it a really good whisk and then I am going to set this to the side. Now that our ground beef is completely cooked through and our veggies are soft, I added in 2 tablespoons of ketchup along with a tablespoon and a half of Worcestershire sauce. You'll also add in a dash of salt and pepper. Give this a really good stir to combine all of the ingredients. Now with the cornstarch and the beef broth mixture, I just poured it into our Philly cheesesteak mixture. I'm going to stir this all together and let it simmer on my stove for a couple of minutes or until the sauce thickens up. Now that our sauce has thickened up nicely, my house smells so good at this point, I'm going to add about 5 slices of provolone cheese over the top. I'm going to let the cheese melt down and then it's ready to serve. While our cheese is melting away, I do love to toast our buns. This is optional, you don't have to do it, but I just do it in a pan with a little bit of butter. Here's my Philly cheesesteak sloppy joe ready to be gobbled up. This recipe is amazing because it is so much quicker to throw together than normal sloppy joes, and it definitely does not lack in flavor. Now we're making this chicken broccoli with a creamy sun-dried tomato sauce, and this recipe is heavenly. To the pan on my stove, I have 2 tablespoons of hot olive oil. To the oil, I added 1 pound of cubed chicken breast. I added in a dash of Italian seasoning, salt, and pepper. I am going to stir this all together and let the chicken cook through at this point. Now that our chicken is cooked through, we are going to stir in about 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. Once the garlic becomes fragrant, you'll add in your 1/2 cup of sun-dried tomatoes. This is the brand I used. I think it's pretty good. I also chopped those sun-dried tomatoes into smaller pieces. Then you'll add in 2 cups of frozen broccoli florets. I did cut the broccoli into smaller pieces before I added it in, kind of like bite-sized pieces. Lastly, I added in a 1/2 cup of chicken broth. Scrape all those flavorful bits off your bottom of the pan and let it simmer for about 3 to 5 minutes or until the broccoli's tender. Then the last couple ingredients you'll add in is a 1/2 cup of heavy cream and 1 cup of shredded Colby Jack cheese. Stir this all together, let the cheese melt down, and then it's ready to serve. This dinner is definitely on my list of favorite dinners ever. There's not much more I could say about it than that. We like to serve ours over a bed of white rice, or you could serve it over mashed potatoes, egg noodles, or for a lower carb option, you could do cauliflower rice. I also served it with a side Caesar salad. I hope you found a dinner for yourself today, and I would really love to have you here. So go ahead and subscribe down below the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.